Hello and welcome to another edition of Community Conversations. I'm Michael Witch for LMC Media, and on the screen with me is Kenny Herzog with hashtag VaxUpWestchester. Welcome, Kenny.
Thanks, Michael. And you know, for audio purposes, Vax Up Westchester works just fine. Visually, certainly it is the hashtag Vax Up Westchester campaign.
Okay, well, we're going to show that on the screen because we want people who may not have gotten their vaccination or may know someone who is hesitant to really listen to this conversation because there's going to be some valuable information. You told me earlier that this project grew out of an effort in Greenburgh. Can you briefly describe the origins?
Sure. So Town of Greenburgh Supervisor Paul Feiner, he innovated this effort called the Greenburgh COVID Angels, which was essentially kind of a parallel thing to, at least in spirit, to the Snow Angels program that Greenburgh's been doing forever, that I participated in over the years, helping elderly or vulnerable folks, dig out of their driveways. And here the idea was, let's connect elderly and or vulnerable individuals in the greater incorporated town of Greenburgh with COVID vaccine appointments early on in this process when it was so Byzantine and inscrutable.
And boy, was it hard to try to find an appointment. I tried several times unsuccessfully.
It's amazing how fluid the situation's been. Now we're now, as we'll get to, we're at this other inflection point. But we did, it was a collective effort I was not leadership in that effort. I was assisting with everything from scheduling appointments to helping sort of polishing some script materials for people who are making calls to seniors and assisting at pop-up clinics that we help facilitate. And we ultimately, as a collective, scheduled, I forget the exact number, it was over 3,000 individuals, and they were virtually exclusively people who really were in need of that help and in need of being priority. And we didn't just limit ourselves in the end to just the town of Greenburgh. We had a good system and we wanted to help as many people as possible.
Well, you're applying your media savvy. I know you're a media experienced in media production and marketing. So you're applying that to all of Westchester. So Vax Westchester, what are the statistics? I know nationwide, it appears that about half the population has been gotten one shot, and maybe 30% as second shot. Is that the same in Westchester?
Yeah, so I do have some data here that's updated as of yesterday in most cases, or 2 days ago in some other cases. But effectively what we're seeing is really the spectrum, and then if you average it out, maybe it sort of roughly lines up with what we're seeing nationally. But you can take, for example, the town of Mount Vernon, or the city of Mount Vernon, excuse me, it is a city, I believe. There's multiple zip codes in Mount Vernon, but for the most part, you're seeing numbers that are ranging in percent of population 18 and older vaccinated. It can range from as low as 19.1% as of 2 days ago in the 10550 zip code of Mount Vernon to as high as the 10052 Mount Vernon zip at 33.9% of the percent of population vaccinated. But then you can certainly look at other towns or municipalities. Dobbs Ferry, for example, has a 46.1% vaccination rate for the population of 18 and older as of 2 days ago. And there are instances where the percentage rate is even higher. Briarcliff Manor is at 50.3 in that same category. Baldwin Place, some of these tinier hamlets like Baldwin Place and Crompound are in the 70s and 80%. So we as Vax of Westchester had to identify in real time, where are these areas of need? Where are these pockets of reluctance? Why are there these pockets of reluctance? And how can we, without proselytizing or further alienating anyone, help gently persuade folks that this is what's in the best interest of protecting everyone in the community, especially the communities that were so hard hit initially in the virus, which we're seeing are the same communities that paradoxically now are maybe lagging behind in vaccination rates.
Well, there's so much misinformation out there. I read recently that among the Latino population, Facebook seems to be the source of most of that misinformation. What are the things that you're hearing that people say are the reasons that they're not willing to get the shot? Is it just fear that the vaccine will suddenly give them COVID?
Social media is certainly scurrilous and an issue. And I told you before, when we chatted before, that it's about kind of crowding out some of that static and reclaiming the conversation.
Yeah.
So as far as what I've been hearing, and this is from my own attempts to kind of be pounding the pavement and talking to people in different communities and from different backgrounds, and also just collecting consensus information that I'm hearing empirically and anecdotally from everyone from other community members to virologists and physicians and people in
you're not a doctor, but you're well acquainted with the issue because you've been talking to a lot of experts.
We had to become very literate in this in order to be qualified and credible to talk about it. So
Sure.
Just with that sort of disclaimer out the way, I've been hearing everything from, we don't trust that this all happened so fast, which the gap you need to fill there is to say, it didn't happen overnight. We've been developing this mRNA technology for almost 20 years, and then you hear from people, well, me and my family, we all got the virus, last April and we're good. And then you have to sort of give them information from a credible source about the fact that, well, that your immunity may have worn off. And even if it didn't, the vaccine is much more potent in preventing infection or reinfection than simply having just gotten essentially partial or temporary immunity from the infection itself. And then you hear from people and then there's individuals that you hear from who are from Latin American countries originally, or that's their family's country of origin, where you had government mandated vaccination programs. And so you get to the US and you're not compelled by your government.
Sure.
And there's a disconnect in saying, well, I finally have this freedom where I'm not compelled by my government, but my government's now telling me that I sort of kind of have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of help bridge that gap in not so much understanding, but in the nuance of the thing, and basically say, we know, we get it, but there's unprecedented technology, meaning with unprecedented government movement, because this affects everyone, the rich, the poor, the black, the white, et cetera.
I know that the county executive, George Latimer, recently spoke at the Armory in, I believe it was Yonkers, and he cited some statistics that the rate of infection is way down in Westchester County. And you couple that with the new CDC advice that if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask if you're outdoors, and the new now permission in New York State where anyone, I guess 16 years or older, can get vaccinated without making an appointment. So it seems like things are looking up, but we still have to be careful, you believe, with getting vaccinated.
Correct. I mean, if the goal, I am not someone who's interested in sort of the hygiene theater of things or the mask theater of things. I have been a mask proponent, and when it's, in circumstances when recommended, still am, and always have been in this process. But I also do encourage folks to signal to other folks that, hey, I'm out here and I'm breathing the fresh air, and it's because I've been told that's okay because I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm not afraid to be in this situation where it's been determined that it's safe. And if you know that you've been fully vaccinated and you were waiting for a signal, a visual cue from someone else, then this is it, and then you have to, and then there's going to be a point where you hope people feel self-conscious because they are disingenuous in removing their mask and potentially putting other people at risk,
Yeah.
or are just simply not enjoying the same privilege. And I would say that herd immunity is still the goal, and the only way we're going to get close to that is if everyone who's eligible gets vaccinated. That is the ticket out. That is the way we get our lives and our livelihoods back.
So the website that you have that's where you want people to go for accurate information, right?
VaxUpWestchester.org is a site that we created so it can be kind of a hub and a central resource, and it has everything from other community members' vaccinations, stories and selfies, to a page of resource links in English and Spanish, to credible sources of updated information, to helpful encouragement from medical professionals in the community, on and on and on. And also, most importantly, information about how they can contact us to have the support and have access to the resources that we still have as auxiliary to the COVID Angels and vice versa. We're still, the two initiatives are still very much simpatico. And we also have created several flyers that are in English and Spanish, custom social media graphics, etc., that we're spreading out digitally and physically in the community through boots on the ground stuff, but also through partnering with trusted community contacts to disseminate our message that way. And again, it's just creating awareness, crowding out the bad information, and letting people know that, hey, we have a way of comfortably sort of helping chaperone you or escort you to a easy, accessible, safe way of being vaccinated. And that's what's going to protect you and your family and your loved ones and get your community back on track.
Well, I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us today to talk about this. It's such an important issue, not only locally, but nationally. And the website, again, on the screen, people should go to that for accurate information. And if they want to reach out to Vax Westchester and to Kenny, that's where you go.
You go
Kenny,
there.
thank
I'm sorry.
you so much. Is there anything I left out?
No, you can go to vaxupwestchester.org, or you can email vaxupwestchester@gmail, or you can call the Town of Greenberg office, 914-989-1540.
You could say that number again, a little slower.
914-989-1540.
Thanks again, Kenny. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael.